time for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club inside the Robins Center on the Fort Hays State Campus, is brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, banking one story at a time. The Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, expertise, technology, compassion, all right here. Adams Brown, strategic allies and CPAs, going above and beyond for you. BTI, your John Deere dealer, with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. The Taco Shop, dine in, carry out, or delivery. Since 1970, you've never had it so good. And Eagle, our community connected. Tiger Talk with the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock.
And good afternoon and welcome into another edition of Tiger Talk. Good to have you with us here on this Wednesday as we talk some Fort Hays State athletics. Another big program lined up for you today. We'll be talking some wrestling with head coach Eric Wentz here shortly. Our first installment of the season with Adrian Pilkington, the head softball coach at Fort Hays State. They're off to a 6-2 start. We'll get an update on their team and their season so far as they get set to head to some games coming up this weekend in Topeka. And then we'll talk some basketball toward the end of the program with Talia Kars of the Fort Hays State women and Mark Johnson of the Fort Hays State men. So certainly glad to have you a part of it. You could, of course, join us in person. All you have to do is join Tiger Club. Pretty simple. Your membership dues go toward athletic scholarships at Fort Hays State. You can join us on Wednesdays for lunch here at the Robins Center. Contact the Fort Hays State Athletic Department for more information there. And, of course, we'd love to hear from you. Email us a question. Go to the FHSU Athletics website, FHSUathletics.com. You'll click on the Fans tab. You get the drop down there at the bottom. You'll see Ask the Coach. And if you use your question, a chance to win a Fort Hays State Athletics t-shirt. So we'd love to hear from you. Kansas Department of Transportation and the Drive to Zero Coalition invite you to join Tiger fans. The plan, if you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. And we'll also remind you, MIAA tournament basketball tickets on sale through Fort Hays State Athletics. If you're making plans to head to Kansas City to watch the Tigers, go ahead and get your tickets in advance. Save a little money and get them through the Fort Hays State Athletic Department. They've got them there, so you can contact them. And also on the Tuesday, on March 5th, right before the conference tournament begins, Fort Hays State alumni will be having their 5th annual alumni event at Boulevard Brewing Company. It'll be from 5:30 until 8:30. A lot of the Kansas City area alums already participate in this, but if you're from the area here around Hays and heading to KC, maybe head there a day early and get yourself registered and take part in the Boulevard Brewing Company event sponsored by Fort Hays State alumni. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk some wrestling. Eric Wentz joins us. Tigers wrapped up the regular season and now gearing up for regionals. We'll talk about that and more when we return on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
The Golden Q is the place for football and food. Friday night, when your team is out of town, stop in for your favorite burger and watch the game. Want to enjoy the game from home, but still eat the Golden Q's tasty food? Use their app to place an order to go or use DoorDash. Then when it's time to blow off some steam, head to the Fort, duck pin, bowling, axe throwing, VR, and check out their huge outdoor patio. Book a party room for your group or host a large gathering at the Fort. The Golden Q and the Fort in Hays.
Lavin to her left, down the lane, can't shoot, now to Dilsaver for three, good! Kate Dilsaver knocks in her first three. She's tied her season high with 13 tonight. 52-29, and Fort Hays State has their biggest lead of the game. Now some of the action from last Thursday, the Tiger women knocking off the Lincoln Blue Tigers. We'll talk with women's coach Talia Kars a little bit later on in the program. Right now we're going to talk some wrestling. Coach Eric Wentz of the men's program joining us. Tigers wrapping up their regular season and their dual season this past Saturday at home. They are shut out by number one ranked Central Oklahoma. We talked about it last week. A big challenge against a really good program, one that's probably going to be favored to to win a national championship again this year, and they kind of flexed their muscle on Saturday.
Yeah, and we just told our guys, after the match was over, we were like, now you know what it's like and where you have to get to. You put your hands on guys that are ranked in the top 10. It's just a different feel. The physicality of it, and we told them, and again we reminded them, we had I think 7 of our 10 guys are underclassmen, and they had a lineup full of old guys. So, a lot of guys in their 5th and 6th year, and we got guys stepping on the mat for the first time against UCO in a dual meet situation. And, overall, we look at the small battles, what was our effort like? What could we improve on? What did we learn from it? And, we had some really good performances from, DeAndre Brown, had a really good shot at knocking off a top 10 guy. Lost 4-2, and, again, another close call. Looking back, probably could have reviewed it, could have done a challenge, but when I watched the replay on the MIAA, the referee's backside was right in the way, so there was no way he was going to overturn his own call when all he was looking at was his own backside. So it was, he had definitely probably had a takedown, and which would have probably won him the match or turned the tide a little bit for him, and so because the 3-point takedown makes a big difference now. So, but Bryce Westmoreland in the extra match ahead of time, that was his senior day. He's not in the starting lineup, getting beat by an underclassman in the wrestle-offs, but for him to go out, and go out with a win in the extra match ahead of time, that was really good for him. And it didn't help that we didn't have Terrius in the lineup, we didn't have Tony Caldwell heavyweight in the lineup, but they're back full go this week. So again, took the positives away from it. We know where we got to get to, and nobody we're going to wrestle for the rest of the year is going to be that tough.
Well, and with COVID, you still see that, and there's still effects of it with guys who still have eligibility, and in a sport like wrestling, I mean. Sometimes you've got some young boys going up against some men. I mean, and that's a huge advantage and difference. But I mean, eventually they're going to get there, but that's tough.
It is. Drew Bell, 141, wrestled Dylan Lucas. You read his bio on their website, and it's funny because his younger brother has already graduated because he took a few years off, and Drew Bell's redshirt freshman who little undersized already. You go out against a 26, 27-year-old man. It's a different feel.
Well, and hopefully, as you said, and we've talked about it, but sometimes you need to remember this is a young team, and these are all growing experiences that you hope, hopefully in regionals it pays off. But obviously, as they progress throughout their careers, it's just all part of the process and them developing as wrestlers.
Yeah, and that's what we were actually talking about this right before I came over here. We were looking at our lineup for next season, and it's all the same faces. And then we were like, well, this guy's a redshirt freshman. This guy's a sophomore. This guy's a freshman, true freshman. So we're looking at it as, we're going to be, as long as these guys buy in, and which they are, as long as these guys stick to the game plan, we're going to be the upperclassmen heavy group in the next 2-3 years, which is kind of what you got to look at. When you got a bunch of young guys in the lineup, you got to think, okay, well, this is our learning year. This is our learning curve. Now, by next year, when they figured it out and they spend the summer training, because now that's what we're already focused on is how we're going to get these guys ready to go over to spring and summer, going into next season. It's going to be huge to have these guys that have been tested, that have been through the fire, going into the next season, and they're still going to be young for another year.
Any other highlights from from UCO's match? Any other guys that stand out that maybe wrestled better? I mean, and sometimes the final tally doesn't always tell the story.
Yeah, Matt Rodriguez wrestling Garrett Wells at 184. Garrett Wells is ranked 5th in the country. Matt went out. Matt took him down twice. So for a guy like Matt who's a redshirt freshman to go out and take down the guy who's ranked 5th in the country twice and really looked good doing it, he got overwhelmed late. Physical mismatch. Matt's about 5'8", 184, solid 184. Garrett Wells is 6'2", 184, and cutting pretty hard to make that weight. And he just late in the match, the leverage got to him. Then Wells' pace, but he realized that he can score on anybody in the country, and we emphasize that after the fact. Same with DeAndre and a couple other guys who scored takedowns that duel. It's you realize that you're wrestling a top 10 guy. If you can score a takedown, that's in our book, that's a winnable match. Because it can completely change the course of a bout. If you can just get one takedown and kind of change the tempo, kind of put the match back in your hands, so that's what we really focused on, was those positives. Taking down a top 5 guy in the country, that means you're good enough to be there. So
yeah, and you always worry the mental side of it with a young team. How do they react after a duel like that? You pleased with how they take it into stride and everything?
Yeah, I mean, they were the underdogs, and their goal was to go out and compete hard, and then not worry about the actual outcome of the duel. And then we told them that we're not worried about the wins and losses right now. We're worried about getting our hands on the best guys and figuring out how we can get to that point and make the adjustments going into the regional tournament.
You mentioned a couple key guys out, but back now for as they prepare for regionals.
Yep. Head to Pueblo next week.
Talk about that a little bit. I mean, obviously, you've seen a lot of the teams that are going to be there. There'll be others you haven't. Just maybe a quick overview of what to expect and how you guys are going about your preparations here for that here in another week or so.
Yeah, we're we like where we're at, because we've had a lot of good matches with guys that are ranked that are in our region. So seeding wise, and then we emphasize to our guys as well, going into the national qualifier, we're like everybody's 0-0. This is a clean slate, because every year there are returning national qualifiers and All-Americans that don't get out of the region because it's a tough tournament, and if you're not 100%, or if some guys are ready for their season to be over, so we really focus on, if we're still on our upward trajectory right now, and our attitudes are good, and our efforts good, and we're feeling good. We feel like we could send as many as 3 or 4 guys to the national tournament this year. But if we can get a majority of our guys a place in the top 6, that's going to be a good weekend for us.
Well, we'll talk more about that. Obviously, it's on the 2nd of March in Pueblo, and then I said hopefully you can get some guys through there because the national championships are in Wichita. That'd be really cool to have some guys being represented for Fort Hays State.
Yep. It'd be good to have that in our backyard and get a few guys there. But we got a lot of work to do, but we're ready for it.
All right, sounds good. Eric, hey, we appreciate it. Good practices this week, and we'll get a more detailed preview of regionals next time.
Sounds great.
There you go. That's Eric Wentz. He's the head wrestling coach at Fort Hays State University. Again, Tigers will be in Pueblo for the Division II regionals. That'll be coming up on March 2nd. Tiger Talk brought to you today by BTI, your John Deere dealer. They've got locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Nest City, and Pratt. BTI, our family in partnership with your family. Right now, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll chat some softball for the first time this season. Adrian Pilkington joins us after the break. This is Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
The Golden Q is the place for football and food. Friday night, when your team is out of town, stop in for your favorite burger and watch the game. Want to enjoy the game from home, but still eat the Golden Q's tasty food? Use their app to place an order to go, or use DoorDash. Then when it's time to blow off some steam, head to the Fort, duck pin bowling, axe throwing, VR, and check out their huge outdoor patio. Book a party room for your group or host a large gathering at the Fort. The Golden Q and the Fort in Hays.
Here come the Tigers. They have it down by 5. Ruddle down the lane. Shoots, got bumped. It goes in, and she's fouled. And a chance for a 3-point play for Emma Ruddle. Her first points of the day. Some of the action from Saturday in Warrensburg. The Tiger women in Central Missouri. We'll talk some women's basketball here shortly with Coach Talia Cars, men's coach Mark Johnson joining us a little bit later on in the program as well. But right now we're going to talk some softball. Coach Adrian Pilkington joining us for the first time here on the program. And thanks for joining us. Congratulations, 200th coaching victory last weekend. Yeah, big round of applause for Adrian. Great job in a win over East Central. Your team's off to a 6-2 start. Maybe just a little bit overview about your first 8 games so far for your squad down in what was supposed to be warmer weather. Maybe hasn't been as warm of weather.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely had colder games than we have thus far this fall, so that hasn't been terrible. We lost it due to rain the first weekend out, that set. And then last weekend it was 29 degrees, felt like 17. So we said,
not fun.
No, thanks. Yeah. But I think, we're doing some things good. We're not primed up yet, but I think we're pitching the ball pretty well. Hitting is decent, a little bit streaky right now, but I think that's something that we can work out just with more live at-bats under our belt. So overall, I feel like we're playing pretty well.
Well, you look at your team, I mean, you've got a lot of players back who've been a part of this and obviously got to the conference tournament last year, which was a big step for these gals, and I'm sure you're expecting them to make that next step and hopefully bigger and better things this season.
Yeah, it's kind of on the same terms of what Eric was saying, where, you've been young for so long, and finally we have some upperclassmen on the field, and you can tell they're just taking the field with more confidence, more aware of what they're going to face competition-wise.
That first weekend down in Texas, you go 4-0, and I guess what stands out, the pitching, you gave up 4 runs in that first game and then won the rest of the way, and you've got some arms who've been a part of this a little bit, and maybe kind of saw that veteran portion of them show up there early in that first weekend.
I think with them, the biggest thing is they've learned how to pitch in some pressure and some turmoil, and, even though we gave up those 4 runs in that first game, you could tell that Savannah was ready to just go out there and kind of shut it down. She knew the mistakes she made. She knew how to make the adjustment. So, I think that's kind of the thing that we're seeing with maturity from those kids on the mound right now.
Yeah, talk about your pitching staff a little bit and just their evolution as players and what you're hoping that they can make that jump from last season to this season.
Yeah, we have a really versatile staff, so we just do a lot of things different from arm to arm, which helps us transitioning from game to game and just trying to plan out who's gonna throw what matchup. So Savannah has thrown the ball a lot since her freshman year, really just has good body awareness and understands her pitches and what she needs to do adjustment wise to make changes. She's just really in tune with the feel and herself as a pitcher, so I think that's just really easy to work with because she understands you give her small adjustments or she makes them herself. Morgan throws the ball pretty hard, and so for her, just learning to command a little bit and understanding she needs to get ahead in counts, and that's kind of where we're seeing her start to make those strides and that maturity from her, because she's been off and on. She threw a lot for us her freshman year, not as much last year, and I felt like she put a lot of work in this fall and was just more prepared going into competition.
We'll talk about some of the position players here in just a minute, but we're at the bottom of the hour, so let's pause 10 seconds for station identification along the Tiger Sports Network.
Raise your glass, can, or bottle from Kaiser Liquor and salute all the hard-working Fort Hays State Athletics. Kaiser Liquor and 14 KEYS Hayes.
Welcome back to the program. Gerard Wellbrock, head coach Adrian Pilkington with us as we talk some Fort Hays State softball. The Tigers off to a 6-2 start down in Texas to start the year, and then in Oklahoma had some games weathered out on Sunday because of the cold temperatures. A little bit better competition on this past weekend down in Oklahoma. You go 2-2, but you face some pretty good teams, and one of them ranked 23rd in the country, Southern Arkansas. You take to 8 innings and lose that one 3-2, and even though it was 2-2, considering the competition, I mean, that's I would think a good sign for this squad. Obviously, you want to come away with the wins, but they really competed.
Yeah, no, they competed well. I'm pleased with the way that we played, and you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, and they got to learn those take those bumps early on and learn those lessons early on as well.
What about, let's talk about your position players a little bit. Again, you've got a lot back who we've seen just every year get a little bit bigger and a little bit better out there on the field. How have they progressed so far, and who do the Tiger fans need to be watching who've maybe made some great strides since last season?
Yeah, I mean, definitely keep an eye out for our seniors on the field that are starting. Lauren Beggs at third base, and then we have Sarah Tiffany in center field. Our slapper in right field, Peyton Shepard, is really, really dynamic. So, you're seeing a lot of, big progressions from those kids. I think the seniors finally have learned to play under some pressure and some of those conditions, so that's positive. We have a freshman in the lineup. She's actually a redshirt freshman, or we hope she'll get her year back from next year. But Londra Dominguez is going to be probably a big bat for us, something that we missed last year that we were hoping to really get back, but she just was never 100% healthy. So I'm excited to have her back in the lineup, and even though she's technically a freshman, she's been able to see some competition as well.
Yeah, and that's one thing. You look at your roster last year, I mean, you did well at the plate, but maybe lacked some of that power that you saw from other teams in the conference, and boy, you can fill that void. That obviously is going to be a big step for your team. Yeah,
I mean, we were counting on hopefully having her back at a lot of different points last year, and it just never really clicked and never really happened, but you can see that she's a kid that can be, powerful for us in the lineup and produce some RBIs for us, so we're excited about her future.
And what's it like to have seniors. I mean, it seems like you've got these last
really,
few
yeah,
years.
really
Really
weird.
haven't had any.
Really weird. No, it's nice. Lauren is actually our last COVID kid,
Right.
so she has kind of her 5th year here. And then having Sarah in the lineup, and she's played since freshman year, and she started pretty much every game. So nice to have those kids with a lot of experience under their belt, and they're just leaders on the field. They just play hard every single game, and do a little bit better job of cleaning the slate if they do something wrong than some of the younger kids.
We'll preview the games in Topeka here in just a little bit, but just the MIAA. I mean, it's a beast. There's some of the top teams in the country, as it is in every sport. What's the lay of the land going to be this year for conference play? And where do you guys feel you can maybe fit in the mix in this thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a battle. I feel like, again, we're just taking the field with more confidence. We're more prepared, so I think they know what they're going to see from conference, and I think we're going to know how to handle it a lot better. But, we're trying to climb that ladder, and we want to be, in the top stretch of teams there. So I think that, climbing that and making a better impact this year is something that's fully in the realm of possibilities for us.
What did making the conference tournament last season do for this team, and maybe some of that confidence? Because you were close 2 times before and just, kind of faltered down the stretch and didn't get in the top 8, and then you finally got in there last year.
Well, I think last year was just a tough year in general. We had so many teams with 30-plus wins, and some of them that didn't make the tournament. So I think with that said, it was really just the kids, it was a sigh of relief of knowing, okay, this is what it takes to get there, and it was close, and they knew that. So I think they're just more prepared to understand what they're going to face, come conference season.
All right, let's talk about this weekend. Looks like the weather should be pretty good and a chance to hopefully get all of the games in. But again, you're going to face some good competition. You'll play a couple on Friday, a couple on Saturday, and a couple of games on Sunday. So 6 of them over a 3-day window. That'll be a good test for your squad. And again, you're going to face some of the teams from up north a little bit.
Yeah, I think we're going to definitely see some good competition in there. It is a challenge getting 6 games in 3 days. So, we're going to have to stretch out our pitching a little bit and try to get some innings under some kids' belts that haven't thrown very much this year. We're working Bailey Carlson back from an injury. We finally have Erica Flynn back from an injury as well. So, hopefully we're getting to be able to get those kids some time early on in the week. And then, I think our last day is probably our best competition. So I think that will, again, be a good indicator of where we're at headed into conference season.
You went down south. You faced some teams from Texas, faced some Oklahoma teams out of the GAC. Now you're going to face some Northern Sun teams. Is there a big difference in style of play? I mean, did you notice that in different regions, even within the region of some of the competition?
Yeah, you can definitely tell, when you're going down south and some of those kids are just playing a little bit quicker, faster pacer game, whereas some of the teams from up north just have some big girls that are heavy hitters. So you can definitely see the different styles and types of play.
Then midweek, you go to MSU Denver, and then March 8th, it's conference play. I mean, it's amazing how it gets here quick, fast. And then you're going to be on the road at Western and Northwest. Some good teams right out of the gate to face. It's hard to believe it, but these games will be big tune-ups for conference play, which is almost here.
Yeah, and I think, the big thing with preseason is just trying to figure out who you are as a team and some of that, the kids meshing and getting some chemistry out there on the field. So I think that's a big part of your success going into that stretch.
Wednesday, March 13th, that is the slated home opener. Rockhurst in town for a doubleheader, and then Bethany will be here for a couple the next day, and then Colorado School of Mines the next week. It'll be nice to play at home and get folks to put that on their calendar to come out on the 13th of March to watch the Tigers take on Rockhurst. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it certainly takes us a while to get here, but we're hoping for warmer weather there.
So. Exactly. Coach, we appreciate the time. Again, congratulations on your 200th win. I know you're like all coaches, and it's the players, but someone's got to guide them along the way. That's a nice milestone. And just the start of many, many more, and hopefully a lot of them coming this season.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
There you go. That's Adrian Pilkington, head softball coach at Fort Hays State. Again, they'll be in Topeka, the Washburn Invitational, Friday at 2 o'clock, Minnesota Crookston, and then at 4 o'clock, Maryville. That'll be at Lake Shawnee. That's where they had the conference tournament last year. Then Saturday, Wayne State out of Nebraska at 10, University of Sioux Falls at 4, and then Sunday, 10 a.m. with Winona State, and then Sunday afternoon at 2 o'clock with St. Cloud Cloud State. Not sure about any live streaming. Those should be live stats, so I believe, on the FHSU Athletics website. Tiger Talk brought to you today by the Taco Shop, whether you order by phone, use their handy app, dine in, carry out, or delivery. You've never had it, so good. The Taco Shop, they've been a Hayes tradition since 1970. We'll take a break, talk some women's basketball. Coach Talia Kars joins us next on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here. It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
And Janssen steals the inbound, throws it up the floor. It's still loose. Hammocky gets it ahead to Riley, and that time he flushes it with authority. The left-handed dunk by Sean Riley. He has 11, and the Tigers lead 52-31. Yeah, some of the action from Thursday in Jefferson City. The Tigers and the Lincoln Blue Tigers. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Meant to give you a baseball update at the beginning of the program and forgot, but thanks to Matt Cook for the friendly reminder. Tigers were at home last weekend. It was their home opener, and they sweep New Mexico Highlands 6-0, 7-5 on Saturday. They had to move it because of the weather, and then 6-0 and 6-1 on Sunday. So the Tigers are 10-2. They've won 9 in a row, the fastest they've been to 10 wins since 2006. So a great start for Fort Hays State, and they begin MIAA play this weekend. They will be at home. Missouri Southern, nationally ranked, coming to town. The Lions off to a good start. They'll play at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoon at Larks Park, 1 o'clock on Saturday, and then 1 o'clock on Sunday. So Fort Hays State opening MIAA play this weekend. Hope you can get out to Larks Park. Weather looks good. You can squeeze that in around some Fort Hays State basketball. And speaking of Fort Hays State basketball, we're joined by head women's coach Talia Kars. Tigers go 1-1 this weekend. They knock off Lincoln on Thursday night, and then a tough one against the Jennies of Central Missouri on a Saturday afternoon in Warrensburg. And it was kind of a tough weekend in that regard. You played really well against Lincoln at their place, which could be a difficult place to play. And then just one of those games, they had a push there early on in that contest. It was kind of the difference. That first quarter, you just could never quite get over the hump after that.
Yeah, no, we didn't do a great job of guarding them in the first quarter, and they got out to a good start, and then we couldn't overcome it and get anything done to fight back on a good team. So when you get down 10 to a good team, it's hard to make that back up.
Let's talk about Lincoln a little bit. You got off to a great start. I think you led 16-4 and 21-6 at one point. They make a little run. They get to within 5, and then Emma Ruddle hit a 3, and I think it spurred a 12-0 run, and you kind of closed out that second quarter on that big run, and then got off to a good start in the third to put that ball game away.
Yeah, we did a really good job on their guard. That's a good scorer, can create for herself, and we did a good job of guarding her through ball screens, and she was really hesitant the second half to even come off of any. And then offensively, I thought we really clicked. We were running different things and really moving the ball really well and getting to the person that was open and making our shots.
Well, that helps. Yeah, you shoot 4 of 15 from 3, but it seems like you hit some early on at key points when they were kind of hanging around. And boy, you face a team like that, especially on their floor. That's a unique environment, and they had a pretty good crowd. Just to kind of take any thoughts of a possible upset out of their mind was, I would think, pretty big.
Yeah, no, they did. It was a fun place to play and a fun game to play in, and we're really focused and engaged, and didn't ever let them get back in it.
You know, their team, that they haven't had a lot of wins, but they've got some pieces. They've got some young talent and some good players, and probably you won't play them anymore unless they somehow sneak into the conference tournament. But the fact that it was your last trip there, and you can see that they're kind of building strides to be a much improved program. So probably good riddance to not to play them anymore.
Yeah, no, I think she's really excited about what she has and the group she has, and they're young, and she's been battling injuries all year, and they had kind of some unique ones happen in the last 2 weeks, and so they were kind of getting things going, and then that happened, and I think it deflated them a little bit, but I think she definitely has things going in the right direction.
All right, talk about Central Missouri. This was a big game, and we talk all the time. It's not always sometimes who you play, it's when you play them. That may be the case. It was who you played and when you played them. They were obviously, if they didn't win that game, I mean, they were in a really tough spot. If they have any hopes of being in a position for the NCAA as an at-large, had to win and kind of like you, have to finish this thing strong. So it felt like you caught their best effort. And then, as you said, you're maybe just a click off offensively, and that's a tough combination.
Yeah, no, they're playing really good basketball right now. They kind of got things figured out where they were in midseason not doing so well, and I think he's got them playing really hard and playing really, really together, and they did a really good job. They made some shots. Some girls made some shots that don't usually make shots, of course, and then, yeah, we couldn't get it going on the offensive end. They kind of took away what we were trying to get done, and we got frustrated and then lost some confidence.
You mentioned after the game, defensively, it was some minute details. It wasn't anything, glaring breakdowns. It was just some little stuff. But against a team like UCM, you can't have that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I went back and watched our game film, and then we, as a team, watched our game film this week. So we've kind of went back to the basics on defense of just staying in the stands, jumping to the ball, communicating, and hopefully we got those things ironed out. And hopefully they saw on film that that was a simple thing. That was an easy thing to fix. And so hopefully this week we'll see a difference in that on the defensive end.
Big night for Katie again, 22 points, although they really made her work hard, and we've seen that teams have really, and understandably so, made her a focal point, and she's really having to work and grind to get everything, and on a day when the offense isn't clicking, you needed every one of those.
Yeah, no, she gives it her all, and every team, I think that's her focus probably every game, and she continues just to say, okay, bring it, and she brings it and does the best she can, and then we have other people show up and come alongside her, and that's when we get our wins.
It's good to see Brooke Levy back. She, for folks who maybe don't remember, was injured a little bit in the I'm trying to remember what game it was, last homestand on a Thursday night, didn't play, and then you had her back, and obviously that makes a big difference because Sydney had to log a lot of minutes while she was out.
Yeah, no, Brooke was huge. She gets the ball where we need it to go, and isn't necessarily a scoring threat, but can be, and just to get, if we're running the floor, Brooke's going to make sure they have the ball in their hands, and so that's definitely something we miss when she's not on the floor, and she's a really good at getting the ball where it needs to be, and it gives us easy shots.
We talked about this last week before the games. Your team's kind of in the same position they were a year ago. You look at what you have left, some very tough games against some really top-tier teams, and last year you lost the last 4. Didn't get the UCM win, but you look at your final 3 games on the schedule starting tomorrow night, Pittsburgh State, the Missouri Southern Saturday afternoon, and then the following Friday you wrap up the regular season against Kearney. Challenging games, but if you can get wins, you put yourself in a really nice position. But now the challenging part is getting wins because they're good teams.
Yeah, no, they are really good teams, and we're all kind of fighting for our life, especially in the postseason. And so both teams know going into each game that they're huge, whether that's seeding in the MIAA tournament or for the region tournament. And so, yeah, it's definitely who can be playing the best basketball this time of year.
Talk about Pittsburgh State a little bit. That's who you'll play tomorrow night. You had maybe one of your best games of the year at their place. You were coming off the disappointment at Missouri Southern, and then really played well both ends of the floor and kind of took it to the Gorillas. So, they're going to be focused to get some revenge. But what worked so well in that game, and what do you have to do to duplicate that, because they seem to be playing since then some of their best basketball?
Yeah, they really are. They're shooting the ball really well. All sides of the ball in the guard position, they're really good shooters, and then their 5-man's a little undersized, but she does a really good job inside too. She puts herself in spots where they can get her the ball, and she finishes the ball really well. Last time we did a really good job defensively, specifically on Grace Pyle. She's their scorer, and we really honed in on her defensively and took her kind of a little bit out of the game, and so that'll be another thing that we really try to focus on, is making sure she doesn't get the shots or the looks that she's trying to get most of the times up the floor. And then offensively is just, they're undersized at most positions too, and so taking advantage of that and just making them have to guard us maybe for a longer period of time than they'd prefer to, because they want to be on the other end of the floor. They want to be shooting. They don't want to necessarily be playing defense, and so just really making them work on the defensive end.
Grace Pyle's one you almost got to pick up at midcourt. She kind of, her range is, once it's across midcourt, she's in range.
Yeah, no, she is. And so you always have to be aware where she's at. And we did a really good job of picking them up in the full court last time too. And so we've got to continue to do that.
And then real quick, I know your focus is on the Gorillas. Saturday afternoon, Missouri Southern. They had that big second quarter and kind of handed it to you. You made a little push to try to get back in that game. But up until the last couple of games, they had 15 straight wins. Now they've lost 2 in a row. But they were at the top of the standings in second place place now. Really played some good basketball since the Christmas break.
Yeah, they really have. They're missing their point guard from when we played them last time, and so I think that can be an advantage for us just in how we pick them up in the full court. We learned some stuff from that game too, just on the physicality of things, how to get open, and then on the inside position, just continuing to move our feet in the post, because they have pretty dominant posts, but they're also really good on the perimeter. So took some cues and learning points from that last game, and hopefully we can take advantage of that on Saturday.
All right, sounds good. Should be fun games tomorrow night. Pittsburgh State, Saturday afternoon. Missouri Southern, 2 big ones for the Fort Hays State women. Coach, as always, appreciate your time. We'll see you at the Coliseum tomorrow night.
Thanks, Jordan.
There you go. Talia Kars, head coach of the Fort Hays State women. Reminds you, the Tiger Talk brought to you in part today by Golden Belt Bank. Your life has a story. Golden Belt Bank wants to get to know that story. Golden Belt Bank of Hays and Ellis. Visit them online at goldenbeltbank.com. We'll take a break. Men's coach Mark Johnson joins us next on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayspost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.
Here's Nanabu, right wing, top of the key, Hammock pump fakes. They run right through the screen. Here's a drive by Nanabu. Shot is blocked. He gets it back and he puts it in. Fort Hays State goes over 7 minutes without a field goal. Nanabu had a block, but he stuck with it and he scores. And Fort Hays State leads 46-44 with 1:45 to go. I think technically it was like 6:48 without scoring, but still, Tigers overcome it, get the win Saturday in Warrensburg over Central Missouri. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. It's brought to you by the HaysMed Orthopedic Institute, the most comprehensive orthopedic care in Western Kansas. Learn more at haysmed.com/orthopedics. Joined by men's coach Mark Johnson. Tigers up to number 14 in this week's Division II coaches poll after wins at Lincoln and Central Missouri this past road trip to wrap up the regular season of road slate. Congratulations. 2 tough games, 2 tough teams, and your guys find a way. A lot different type games, but you got the job done, and come February, that's all that matters, is putting a W in the win column.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we went on the road and gave up an average of 44 points. You know, you like to think you can score 45, and that's not necessarily a guarantee, but, you know, I think the thing about us, what our guys have kind of figured out, we just got to be better offensively than one team in the country each night we play, and that's the team we play. And the good thing is they have to play against our defense, so we feel like that gives us, you know, a good chance, and we just need to make sure on the offensive end we take care of the ball. And like I said, the nights we do shoot the ball, we feel like we're very hard to beat, but even finding ways again on the road to win without necessarily playing your best and shooting the ball at your best.
Well, Thursday, it was 4-1 at the under 5 media timeout. I think the team started combined, over 15 maybe. It was not pretty. I'd like to think it was defense. I'm not so sure that was the case. But then you go on a 17-0 run out of that first media timeout and then able to maintain it the rest of the way. It took a while to get going, but then you got going, and it was really fun to watch.
Yeah, you know, I've said this the last couple of years about our guys. You know, we don't get frustrated. You know, it's very easy to get frustrated. I think the other team does get frustrated. They're having a hard time scoring. We're having a hard time scoring, but we just keep going. You know, all these teams over the years, you see it so many times. Like I said, repeated this over and over. Most people or teams, players, when they're struggling offensively, it starts to go into their defense. They hang their heads, they get down, and their effort kind of isn't as good. And our guys don't do that. You know, no matter what's happening on one end of the floor, they're coming down and still going as hard as they can and trying to get a stop after stop. And like I said, I think that frustrates the other team because they have a hard time not starting to hang their heads and getting a little down about them not having a hard time making shots.
And we've talked about it before. They go 1 of 14 from 3, and I think they were second in the MIAA going into that game and made threes per game. Now they missed a few, but you had a lot to do with a lot of those misses, and you could see that frustration mounts.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's hard to make shots when you don't get a whole lot of really good opportunities. And then when you finally do get one, you end up rushing it. That's what, being after them on every possession, and really important at the start of each half to not give up a good look, to let them gain confidence. Anytime you make a shot or two, you start gaining confidence. But when you don't get good looks, you finally get an open opportunity, and it hasn't come around very often. They end up missing those. So I think it's not just them missing open shots. Something like I said, when you only get a handful, they're hard to make at times.
You're going to miss not going to Jefferson City now that they're going to be going on to the GLVC? Probably not, considering that program's really elevated the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. I mean, they've done a good job the last 5 years. They've been a good program. The only thing I would say is I think Fort Smith might be an hour longer than them. So I won't necessarily enjoy who we're adding, but I definitely, Lincoln's done a good job. And I think they'll, like a lot of teams that have left our league, Southwest Baptist, Truman State, and those teams, I think they'll do really well in the GLVC and have a lot of success.
All right, you came back Saturday, Central Missouri. You knew you were going to get their best effort. They had a basketball reunion. They renamed the multi to the Jerry Hughes Athletics Center. They had a lot going on, and they really battled you. And we said you had a stretch of almost 7 minutes without scoring, but yet somehow your guys managed to stay in that game and then made enough plays down the stretch to get out of there with a big win.
Yeah, I look at the depth this year. They're probably now not going to make the conference tournament. They're going to finish number 11, and I think they're better than they've been in quite some time. And, we played Arkansas Tech early in the year, and my opinion is, they're better than Arkansas Tech, and Arkansas Tech's one game out of first in the GAC. Central Missouri's probably not going to make our conference tournament. So I think they got and like I said, they knew they had to win that game to probably make the tournament. I think now they're down 3 games with 4 to go, or 2 with 3 to go, something like that. So we got their best effort, and, we had a little bit of sickness, and I see some of these other box scores, and I talked to their coach, and they're like, our guy had the flu and didn't play, and that really doesn't dawn on our guys. We had a couple guys one that were in the trash can before the game, and I looked at him like, can you play? And he looked at me like, what are you possibly talking about? And they just go out there and play, you know what I mean? And they're tough kids, and they just are going to show up and do the best they can.
Well, big win, and now sets up another big weekend at home. Pitt State tomorrow, Missouri Southern on Saturday. A lot of activities. It'll be fun. And got an update here at Tiger Club. A lot of former players coming back. They're going to honor the 84 national championship team, Bill Moore's squad in the NAIA days. Their 40th anniversary, hard to believe. But a lot of activities going on for Saturday. But big weekend at home with Pitt State and Missouri Southern coming to town. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, very good teams, 2 very good teams playing really, really well. I think Pitt had won 6 or 7 in a row till they just lost at Southern. Southern's much better. They've changed their lineup, kind of got addition by subtraction, and are really playing good. Pitt State scored 47 points in the second half on us, and we really didn't have an answer. They're undersized as far as everybody on the floor can dribble, pass, and shoot, which makes it hard to guard, but they have the best rebounder in the league, and when you go small, you can get away with it as long as you can rebound. And the English kid, I think, averages a double-double, a little over 11. I thought Jared Vistum, when he averaged 10 a game, was a lot of rebounds, and this kid's getting over 11. So they're very, very good. It'll be this week is going to be a big challenge for us. I feel like both these teams, especially Pitt, are 2 of the more talented, top 3 or 4 talented teams in our league. Pitt had 2 starters ineligible first semester. I think if that didn't happen, they wouldn't have 7 losses in conference. So we're going to have to get after them and play well.
And as you start looking big picture, obviously NCAA tournament, a goal for everybody. These would be 2 big ones to get to help improve your situation, so you're not relying on maybe having to win the tournament at the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure. We need to keep winning and take care of our own business. The last 2 years we've been really close and left it into someone else's decision making, and obviously, in my opinion, their decision making wasn't very good.
I would agree.
We just need to do what we need to do and not put it in anybody else's hands and take care of our own business, and we have that chance.
All right, sounds good, Mark. Appreciate it. We'll see you at the Coliseum tomorrow night.
All right, thanks, Trey.
There you go, Mark Johnson, coach of the Tigers. Fort Hays State, Pitt State tomorrow night, 5:30, 7:30. Missouri Southern Saturday at 2 and 4. They're going to have a lot going on. They're going to kind of dedicate the Coliseum Coliseum with some memories of the construction at halftime of the women's game. You'll have the reunion of all the former players at halftime of the men's game. So make your plans to come on out this weekend for Tiger basketball. Reminder, Fort Hays State Athletics invites you to join Tiger fans with a plan. If you're going to be drinking, always designate a sober driver. That'll wrap it up. Certainly appreciate you joining us. We'll talk to you again next Wednesday. We're live at the Robbins Center. It's Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network, built by PwC. Voice of the Tigers, Gerard Welbrock, inviting you to join us for Tiger Talk Wednesday afternoons at 12:10 on KAYS. The show is part of the weekly Tiger Club meetings live from the Robbins Center on the Fort Hays State campus and brought to you by Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, the Hayes Med Orthopedic Institute, the Taco Shop, and BTI, your area John Deere dealer. That's Tiger Talk, live from Tiger Club Wednesdays at 12:10 on 94.3 FM and 1400 AM KAYS.